G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game of Age of Empires 4. Today we are on Carmel, a brand new map. I tell you what, I'm excited to talk a little bit about this map because it's a very interesting design. But before we do that, let us get ourselves into an introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, in the east of the map, in the color blue, playing as the Knights Templar, currently rank 3 on the ranked ladder. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Vortex. And on the opposite side of the map, in the color red, playing as the Chinese, it's our Chinese friend. I think he's currently sitting at about rank 30 on the ladder, so definitely coming into this match, you'd have to say Vortex is probably going to be a favorite for it. But I'm curious to see how this matchup goes, just simply because we do have the Chinese, they do have the Zhuge-Nu, there's quite a bit of potential power there. But let's talk a little bit about this map, Carmel. So it's a very open map. If we take a look at the center, you've got these huge open spaces, no large wood lines. In fact, that's one of the few things that is missing on this map is wood. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of it. In fact, resources in general, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of them. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this game goes. I will say resources with the exception of food. There is a lot of food on this map. I mean, look at this. This is ridiculous. There's a huge amount of boars. How many boars have we got? We got 2 up here. We got another 2 over this side. We got a whole bunch of deer. So it's probably less favorable for civilizations like the English, less favorable for civilizations that require that extra wood. So I'm looking forward to this game. It's going to be an absolute banger, I'm sure, because we've got 2 of the world's, well, one of the world's best players, another one who's Conqueror 3, obviously incredibly good still as well. So let's leave it there and let's get to it because, well, we're going to be paying attention to Vortex primarily in this game. He is playing as one of the new civilizations, so I'm curious to see which way he goes, which direction he looks to play in. I think in this matchup, you probably would want to avoid going into the Principality of Antioch, though it could make sense looking to pick up that extra melee damage just for your horsemen. However, I do suspect he'll probably avoid that. The most common thing that we do see players looking to go for is that Kingdom of France, though I'll be honest with you, I'd love to see the Knights Hospitaller picked up, and I think in this matchup, you could probably get away with it against the Chinese, but we'll ride on board with him and see which way he goes. It's a little bit of a delayed age up here. Could be looking for that fast second TC. Of course, Crackety here giving us that amazing build order where you've got that 4-minute town center. We can see Vortex moving vills into the town center. Does he pop them out the backside? He does. They're heading over to the mining camp, so that's going to be it. We can see he's already got quite a few villagers out on food already, and 1 more vill in the queue, and then he'll be clicking the age up after that. So we'll be looking to rush this town center up as quickly as possible, and I'm curious how much further he goes, because as I've said, like, it definitely feels like a little bit of an arms race, and that last villager here gathering up doesn't technically need to be here, but he is indeed going to go for the Kingdom of France. No real surprises there. Age up coming through on the other side as well. We'll check in with our Chinese friend on the other side of the map. It's the Imperial Academy. Beautiful little spot as well. He's got the gold vein as well as the wood line as well as the berries, and it's kind of close to the stone, but it's not going to be there, unfortunately. Now, one thing to note on this map is you actually have the introduction of the very first small gold veins, and I love this. I think this is so cool. Interestingly, you've only got this 1 large gold vein on the map in the center of the map, so a very pivotal place will be securing this position, whether it's going to be a keep, whether it's going to be some annoying outposts, depends exactly how the players are feeling today, but I'll be looking out for that. On top of that, when it comes to gold in general, like, you've just got these smaller little gold veins around the map, so there's a lot less incentive to be throwing keeps down on them and maybe using the keeps for other different or other alternative options. Where else would you use them? I guess on wood is probably going to make a bit more sense, looking to secure wood. Maybe securing up the trade route could be another thing, but the age up about to come through. Now, where does Vortex look to put down this second town center? He's got a couple of options. I guess he could just go for something at the back, probably even just on the wood line right here. Makes a fair bit of sense. I don't think you're too fussed about your aggressive or defensive positioning. Age up 4 minutes and 5, a little bit behind the 8 ball here. He's got enough for it now. Let's see. It's not the fastest. 410. 411, 412, it's still good though. It's still good, and he is going to go down to the south side, so looking to position a little bit closer to all these food sources, and there's just so many. You've got the 7 deer that are right here. You've also got another 3 here, another 3 in here. You've got another 7 here, so already when it comes to the deer count, just in this little position, you're talking about the equivalent of 3 hunts. That's massive. And then the boar, and then the berries. It's just a massive amount of food, so it means you're not going to need to go over onto farms when you're playing as this civilization. And I think that definitely sorry, not on this civilization, rather, when you're playing on this map. And I think that benefits some civilizations a lot more than it benefits others. So civs that are focused on food that don't have cheaper farms. So as an example, Chinese to an extent have cheaper farms because they have that extra 20% wood that's being generated by the imperial official. So because of that, they obviously they still pay the same amount on their farms, but the effective cost is a lot lower. Now, interestingly, we also see professional scouts coming through here, and I think that there's going to be great value on this map for professional scouts. Once again, look at the amount of deer that we've got here. You've got a huge amount of deer that is down here. 17 deer on this bottom side, up towards the top side, another 10. So you're talking at least 27 deer, and that's not including if you can steal away the deer from your enemy. So there's just so many reasons right now to avoid farms. You don't need them at all. So I'm curious to see exactly how these guys look to play this out. Now, interestingly, on the side of our Chinese friend, he's gone into professional scouts. He's opened up with a stable. He's now looking to get a whole bunch of scouts out. Where does he go from here? Does he look to play into a second town center? Does he look to go into a Barbican potentially and maybe secure this central gold? Probably not. I wouldn't be doing that with a Barbican. I'd be probably following that up once I've got a little bit of an army, especially this early on. I don't think it's that instrumental. But one thing to note, though, this is 8K, and these are 1,600. So if we were to extrapolate that over the course of you know, or if you 5x that, that's going to equal the 8,000. So if you think about it, right, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So all of these together are going to add up to this gold vein. So that's how instrumental it is to secure this gold vein. This map is really just about whether or not you can secure the gold vein or not, and how well you can play without units that require gold. So we'll be paying attention to this, and let's ride on board with Vortex now as we begin to witness the scouts as they steal away the hunt from Vortex. Our Chinese friend doing work back here. Barbican of the Sun is going to be coming down. Where does he look to put it? It's just going to be in the front of the base. Nice and defensive. Not too fussed about it. Second town center probably going to be followed up here. And you can see he's obviously spotted out that second town center from Vortex and has naturally said, oh, okay, I'm a little bit behind the 8 ball. I got to try and catch up here. And I think this is one of those things that people are going to work out eventually when it comes to the meta and what we can expect. Players are going to quickly catch on to the idea that, hold on a minute, Knights Templar are just going for a second town center every single game. So what's the best approach to that? What's the best response to that? And I think going for your own second town center makes a lot of sense, but you're also playing into their game by doing that. Their villages are incredibly efficient when it comes to gathering wood, and you're kind of playing the same game that they're playing, and you don't always want to do that. So that can be a consideration to make. But at the end of the day, like, how else do you play into it? You can't really fight them. I mean, you obviously can fight them, but whether or not you're going to win, because realistically on the defense, that bill's going to be close to going down. Fortunately, both of them do survive. But like, if you're thinking from a defensive perspective, okay, you know, let's say the Chinese has all of a sudden decided, hey, I'm going to start making a whole bunch of Zhuku here and attacking you with battering rams. All Vortex does is transitions all of his villagers now over onto wood, and he can just make a whole bunch of archers. And just because he's got so many archers means he's going to be able to take out those Zhuku because the villagers are just so good at gathering up those resources required for archers. But we do now start to see the Chevaliers out on the map. We're right on board with him and track exactly how he's doing here. Obviously scouting out the enemy, bringing back all of these deer. Comes through, hits the charge on that first scout, and then just does a nice little weave around these spearmen for the moment. We're right on board now with the Chinese player and see exactly how he is doing it. You can see just the amount of deer that are under here. Second town center now going to be coming up at 822. Now, keep in mind he does generate villages or train villages faster than the Knights Templar, so it will mean that he'll be able to catch up to this. I say catch up, he's still technically ahead on the economic unit count, just I suspect primarily because of the imperial officials. They do count as economic units, so you obviously get quite a few of them out. He's also got the faster villager training time through the Song Dynasty, training at 15 seconds at the moment, so quite a bit faster than the standard 20 seconds. So for every minute that goes past, your town center is making 4 villagers instead of 3. So you're slowly building up a lead, but you can see Vortex has now taken the lead, but I suspect our Chinese friend is going to take that back very quickly. He's effectively on 2.66 town centers. Another scout going to be going down. That's going to mean he's only got 5 left. Still a decent amount, and obviously plenty of deer back here, so he's doing absolute work out here. Spearmen making their moves. More upgrades on the way through. It's going to be double broad axe. Now, we do have the pilgrims that have come through. Sanctuary has been researched, so he's picked up both of these for the moment. And we can see he's generating quite a bit of gold from doing this. 130 gold coming out towards this side. Still quite a distance to get out here as well. Let's check in now with the Chinese. A lot of vills on the move here. No real sign of a castle age just yet. A little bit of a reallocation of villages. We might switch it over to income per minute just to get a bit of an idea on where these two currently stand. Now, keep in mind, it's 42 vills against 42. China has now taken the lead, though, 43 to 42. I think in the end, though, you can kind of be happy with this as the Knights Templar, knowing that the enemy has gone for that second TC. In fact, I would argue that... Oh, okay, that's interesting. I don't like that. I was about to say, I think from both sides of this fight, both civilizations can be happy with where they are. That was until the third TC came down. Now that the third TC is down, I mean, this makes a lot of sense. The trouble is, you're not protecting any of your food resources. You're kind of bringing them back to the base. So you're very reliant here on being able to secure the deer and bring that deer back in, and that it's not going to be eliminated by your opponent. I think that's a huge component of where our Chinese player is currently. And if Vortex doubles down, which it looks like he is doing, there could be really big problems, because the main issue that you're going to have in this situation is that normally you would have to transition to farms as the Chinese in probably the next like 3 to 4 minutes, just mainly because you're using up so much food here. And you can see the amount of villagers he's got. He's got 31 villagers here gathering up all of this food, and that's all going to be going into brand new villages, and then they're all going to be coming out using up that food. So you're just exhausting your food so quickly. But with this extra food that you've got through here, that issue may not come to fruition, which means that you can then transition that into Castle Age, Palace Guards, all that good stuff. But I don't know whether or not he's going to have time here for it. I think that he probably should if he wanted to go. I would, in this position, I would be thinking Castle Age into Palace Guards is probably going to make the most sense. But speaking of Castle Ages, we've already got our Castle Age starting to come through from Vortex, going up with the Republic of Genoa. Definitely my favorite when it comes to your bonuses. You're always going to be pretty much guaranteed to pick up that 30% extra Pilgrim Gold. And of course, the heavy, or the Genoese crossbow, which I often call the heavy crossbow because it's so damn heavy, is obviously a very powerful unit. But now, coming through on this south side, a lot of spears here looking to defend. Should be able to hold it for the moment. We hear a couple of Zhukanus by the sounds of it firing off, but unfortunately for our Chinese friend, it's a bit of an awkward position here. You can see all the villagers just kind of idled out for the moment. He needs to keep training villagers, but at the same time, he needs to think about aging up and making units, and then that's causing this trouble where he is isolated off this food. But looks like he's going to be able to retake it for the moment. Quite a few villagers down here. No one's supervising this mill, which is a massive oversight. Age up comes through on the side of Vortex. Fortress is now going to be coming down. Where does he put the fortress? Wow, that is a very aggressive fortress, and throws down the siege workshop. Now, I do like this. A forward fortress is actually super duper smart because of the bonuses that you get from the fortress. So if we think about the fortress, the way that it works, it's similar to the English in the sense of their attack speed bonus. So you need to be close to the fortress, and you'll pick up that extra range on ranged units. So 5 range goes to 5.75. You also get that extra bit of armor as well going from, so you can see that's coming through. No, it's not coming through. Apologies. It looks very similar to that. But you get an extra +1/+1 armor. So you can basically really look to force the issue here. And Vortex now is pushing forward. Veterancy comes through on the Chevaliers. Nice number of Chevaliers he's got here. Archer's still looking for an angle. At the same time, the Chinese not really able to go to Castle Age at this point. The third TC definitely going to be hurting them quite a bit in that regard. Just, it means a whole bunch more food is required in these circumstances. And you can see he still is training from these 2 additional TCs. Primary one not being trained at the moment. Chevaliers on the south side of the base. Vortex really looking to put the hurt on now. First villager kills of the game have come through. A little bit of a raid on the backside. It's a whole bunch of horsemen that are putting the pressure on. And now Vortex chasing, or rather being chased away by the Chinese opponent. He quickly turns the tides though, once again. I think the numbers here are probably good for the Chinese as long as he's reinforcing, and he is reinforcing, so he's going to look to try and fight. Horsemen need to come around the back here. He needs to try and get them touching onto these veteran spearmen at the same, or rather onto these veteran archers. Shukunu need to be firing down on these backsides as well. You can see the 3 armor for the Chevaliers probably going to be hurting a bit quite against the Shukunu, but they don't have +1 attack just yet, so a little bit of a mistake there from his side, but the reinforcements do come through. The Chevalier number still kind of holding for the moment. Nice micro from both parties. And in the end, it looks like Vortex is going to be able to hold the army for the moment, but just remember, as these reinforcements come through, it's going to fall more and more in favor of that Chinese defense, so he should be okay in the long run. We also have the Castle Age about to drop through. Now let's move towards that front position and take a look at how Vortex is beginning to set up. So under here we'll be seeing trebuchets, undoubtedly, and it's going to be very difficult to challenge this because there are so many bonuses that you're able to pick up from this. Not only do you get that extra attacks, or that extra range that we were talking about, the extra 15% range, you're also going to be picking up the extra armor as well. So these are small little bonuses, but they really begin to stack up over the course of a fight with a lot of units. So I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing Vortex just avoid fighting over here and subsequently positioning his army towards the front and just letting his trebuchets do the work, especially considering how powerful these trebuchets are from this civilization. But now towards the south side, more horsemen down here. No wheelbarrow upgrade through just yet. Now, one other thing to note is that wheelbarrow is most effective with wood gatherers. It's not that effective with mining villages. It's not that effective with villagers that gather deer. It's quite effective with berries, but you've obviously not going to be on the berries. And your wood gatherers, well, they don't need wheelbarrow, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to be grabbing wheelbarrow early with this civilization. So I do like that decision from Vortex. But second trebuchet out, third trebuchet about to come online as well. He is absolutely investing in this siege. And I gotta be honest with you, this Knights Templar castle rush is absolutely sick. This is exactly the way the civilization should be played. You can see how much damage is able to do to the base here of the Chinese player. At the same time, expect to see desert citadels brought in shortly. In the end, it looks like the majority of the cavalry have gone down. A single horseman stands tall for the moment, and more raiding wolves continue towards the north side. 3 of the pilgrims are now online. He's looking to gather up more and more stone. He'll be hopping around this map, just looking to pick up stone wherever he can, and the 4th trebuchet is now out as well as Castle Ages come online. First town center has fallen, second town center has fallen. I don't know how, but the Vil count for Vortex has really taken a hit. What happened there that Vortex's Vil count? I mean, obviously the enemy... Actually, now that I think about it, yeah, the enemy had 3 TCs, but it's the equivalent of 4 TCs. Because you're generating 4 villages a minute out of each of these, so that's 12 per minute. And a normal TC generates 3 per minute. So it's the equivalent of 4. So essentially double what Vortex was doing here. So that Vil count is definitely going to help out for quite a bit here. The issue he's going to have, as you can see at the back, is going to be gold and how he looks to try and respond here. The other issue he could have could be landmarks. Trebs continue to roll forward. Another fortress. I would have preferred this fortress to be like right here. I feel like that would have made a lot more sense. You just take out the Barbican and the town center and then put the next fortress here. Fortress to the north, or in this position here. Sure, you can come around a bit and force the opponent in, but... It makes, to me, it makes way more sense there, and then you can just kind of sit in this nice little crevice, this nice little position. But now beginning to make his way through the engagement. The mangoes fire off. Plenty of spears on the back. Trebs fire down on the Barbican. It's going to fall here, heading back towards that keep, or that fortress, picking up that extra bit of range on these archers. But at the end of the day, it looks like the Chinese army should be able to repel it. A little bit too much siege by the looks of it for Vortex. We can hear those landmarks going down behind the scenes, or at least the sounds of them going down behind the scenes as they burn. And the Chevaliers trying their best to defend up against all these spearmen. Chukunu also coming through, and the fortress has been completely overwhelmed at this stage. It's continuing to just work its magic on all of these units, but in the end, Vortex able to hold on for dear life in this frontal position, and the consequence of fighting underneath these fortresses is that they just are pumping out attacks the entire time. You don't really realize until your army is retreating away. That's when it all goes downhill, doesn't it? And now Chevaliers forcing those units to escape. Lancer now gonna join the army. And do we start to see a bit more of a focus on military for Vortex? He is moving into Templar brothers. All 3 TCs down for the Chinese player. Barbican down. He's got 104 Vils in the bank, though. So he's going to be requiring those, or at least leveraging those for his economy for the moment. He's probably going to have to think about getting additional town centers down. And look at this, the fortress surrounding. He's looking to starve out the enemy completely. Fortresses across the top side of the map. Now, keep in mind, every fortress that he puts down is also an economic investment, because it's going to give him an extra pilgrim. Excuse me. And an extra pilgrim is going to be the equivalent of 3 villages. So a very nice way to push that economy up. Now, speaking of economy, is dealing with raids at home. We still have that wolf marching its way across that top side. And Archer's going to be forced back. I'd love to see some of those Genoese crossbowmen come through. It's just going to be the OG crossbows instead, making their way across the map. You can see he's got all of this production back here. Nothing built up too far to the front. Third fortress now online over towards that west side. Very difficult to deal with from the Chinese perspective. How does he look to play this one? I think he's definitely on the right track in the sense that he's raiding Vortex. This is exactly what you want to be doing in this position. Raiding Vortex as much as you possibly can with a number of units that you can just kind of afford to not necessarily throw away, but you don't need it to keep them as your fighting force for the moment. So a smart decision from him. Definitely the right way to stay in the game here. And now, once again, that trebuchet going to be under pressure on the front. It just goes down immediately. Lance is going to have to fall back straight away. Mango firing off, falling a little bit short. Lancer numbers looking good, and he's moving into what appear to be Lancer crossbow combo with a whole bunch of battering rams. I think he's got decent numbers here. Crossbow numbers still yet to really build here for Vortex of the Knights Templar. And now looking to try and focus down that Mangonel. Really not a threat. I'd just be looking to take down these archers here. The Mangonel, it's only in Castle Age, and there's not 3 of them yet, so you don't have to be too worried. Crossbow numbers are kind of low as well. Meanwhile, towards the front, the Templar brothers going to do a decent job, but it continues now to fight underneath this fortress. Still yet to pick up the Desert Citadel's upgrade. So the armor we can see from him is yet to really pick up these armor upgrades. I think he just got Iron Undermesh. Yeah, he just got Iron Undermesh right then. Mango fires off towards the crossbow. Huge amount of damage as they both manage to hit right on the target. And the battering ram numbers looking good all of a sudden as Vortex contain on his opponent is slowly being broken. Battering rams working down the first of the fortresses. They've got another 2 that they're going to need to work through, but I suspect once the army is pushed back, that's going to be it for Vortex and his attack. But now, speaking of army getting pushed back, have a look at this. There's absolutely nothing when it comes to the military for our Chinese player. Everything has just been extinguished. The archer crossbow number continues to rise as reinforcements trickle across the map. Plenty of villagers out here. That central gold vein still yet to be picked up. Vortex so aggressive. You can see one of the things with Vortex is so many of his games finish before like the 15-minute mark just because of how aggressive he is. Today, he's playing against somebody who's been able to contest him relatively well. But you can see just how easily people would fall to this kind of pressure. This non-stop focus on units wherever he is. Front of your base, top of your base, side of your base. Look at the battering ram number, by the way. Up to 9 battering rams here. Where is he? Yeah, he's just making a whole bunch out of the clock tower, I think. Let's have a look and see. No, these aren't even clocked. No, they are. They're just all mixed in. Clock tower battering rams. Nesta Bees fires off. Hits a nice center of mass shot there. Vils getting focused down by the Mangonel. Vils need to pay attention. They could siege this bad boy down. Unfortunately, he's going to lose a couple of them. 99 Vils against 69. How are we doing on economies at this time? 1,200, 1,400, so call it 27, 2,800. Call it 3,600 on the side of the Chinese. 3,600. Keep that in mind. Meanwhile, on the side of Vortex, you can see that he is nowhere near that, sitting at about 27, 2,800. So quite a bit of difference between these two players, with the Chinese definitely holding the upper hand for the moment. I was looking down here to the south and thinking, why has he got lumber camps? And then I realized not everybody... Well, we got a big wall coming up. Not everybody's playing the Knights Templar right now. Big wall coming up on that south side. Gold mine. Completely mined out. No relics picked up, by the way. We're 23 minutes into this game, both players in Castle Age, and no one has even blinked at the relics yet. All 3 of those fortresses have now been surrounded. Vortex's surround has been completely eliminated. Nesta Bees moving up. Not a whole lot to defend them here. You've got to be careful. These Templar brothers are on the loose. Very close by. Now, keep in mind, Vortex is probably streaming over on Twitch right now, so make sure you go check him out after this video. I will leave a link down in the description to where you can watch him live. You can follow along for these actions, these antics that we see. Templar brothers looking to try and overwhelm. Should be able to find this without too much hassle. Indeed, they do make the connection. Not enough spears. And look at the splits coming out from Vortex. The Spaniard doing incredible work right there. Oh, my lord. It looked like he was splitting up against Benelings. It was incredible. But now, the Templar numbers overwhelming his opponent. You can see the consequence of pushing out right there. Very confident on the Chinese side. I think the most important thing he could have done then was just sit back, chill, get your town center up, get your second town center up, just try and rebuild that economy and build up a huge, massive Spear Nesta Bees. Spear Nesta Bees still an incredibly powerful combo in the Castle Age. No real way to deal with it on the side of Vortex other than just massing up a whole bunch of maybe heavy crossbowmen, rather Genoese crossbowmen. That could be a way through. Another fortress now placed on this backside. You can see at 24 minutes into this game, Vortex still yet to put a farm down. There's plenty of food on this map. Nesta Bees firing off towards these Templar brothers. Spear's going to look to try and reinforce. Should be able to protect this Nesta Bee. Not able to find it, unfortunately. Imperial official also going to get caught in the crossfire. And 2 landmarks remain. 1, 2. I take it back. 3. The town center's up. I don't know exactly why this one hasn't been... Oh, no, I take that back. That's on the other side. That's for the Chinese. These 2 landmarks remain for him to kill. And that's one of the things where it's like, I still feel like we probably need to fix this up. I'm still not 100% happy with the way that kind of displays. Maybe it should come off the screen if like a landmark hasn't been killed within 5 minutes or something for the Knights Templar specifically. I don't know. It's one of those weird things. because that's just going to be there for the rest of the game. And it's not really that relevant because you can't rebuild the landmarks, right? But now, Villager running the gauntlet right now. Poor thing gets caught out. Jeez. I feel, what's the music? Like, you're probably wondering how I got into this situation. yeah. Why is the rally point set to the middle of the map? That's what we need to work out. But now moving in, Nesta Bees continue to fire off, doing some decent damage. Still no Genoese crossbowmen just yet. And now villagers towards the south, we were just talking about the fact that you want to rebuild that economy, get it going. But look at the vill count, 83 against 81. Chinese struggling right now to keep that villager count high. Vortex just putting on the pressure. Beautiful little splits he's got in at the moment as well. You can see the spears kind of confused about which direction they should go. Unfortunately to the south. Not able to cover that last nest of bees, or at least that first nest of bees. Nice covering on the remaining two, but still struggling. Decent damage. Beautiful splits once again. And spearman numbers still looking good. He's able to hold for the moment. He's got a lot of villas on the south side though, so you've got to be extra careful. What's going on down here? Got some villagers behind enemy lines. Spears make it down. Nesta Bee numbers still looking solid. It's such an awkward fight. You got to feel like Vortex is winning it, but at the same time, every single moment he's just been repelled perfectly by the Chinese player. But the numbers are starting to look a little bit more favorable now for Vortex in this position. Economy still fair, still even. But these are the worst games. Honestly, I hate these games so much, playing from the Chinese perspective. You're just under so much stress. You're so stressed. You just need a second to breathe, a second to stabilize, a second to think, but you can't do it. You don't have it. And that's what makes it so difficult playing against players like Vortex. They just keep the pressure up constantly. By the end of it, you've lost 1,000 hairs out of your head, and you're just wondering, where did it all go wrong? But it's just one of those things where he keeps up the tempo, keeps up the pressure. You've constantly got issues to deal with, fires to put out. And I think walling against a player like this can make a lot of sense, allowing you to control the narrative, control where he can hit you from. Of course, you can always siege down those walls, but it's one of those considerations that you've just got to really look to. And now Vortex in the middle of the map with 42 villagers on this large gold. Monastery going to get put down. Fortress, of course, going to be in a lovely position here to protect this gold. We've spoken all game about how there's so much food on this map and how little gold there is, but this is really the last of it. There's, of course, a couple of gold veins in the back of the base that Vortex will be saving. But realistically, on the side of his opponent, he's got that single one that's left for 1,600, and that's going to be it. Other than that, he's very much exhausted. Interestingly, relics have not still been picked up, which is kind of wild, considering both of them have got safe relics that they can 100% pick up here. Last Lancer of this raiding force now finally gets cleaned up. And where does he go from here? The battering rams are retreating back home for the moment. The rebuild is happening. We will rebuild, says the Chinese player. Nesta Bees numbers climbing. It's up to 5 Nesta Bees now firing off on these ranged units. He gets confirmation on exactly where they are. Sees that army and knows, okay, I know what we're doing. I know how we're playing it now. Still behind the scenes, and we've got another raid that comes through. He's managed to take out 36 vills so far this game. We'll take the villager lead now. And up towards the top side, more ranged units continue to put pressure on these villagers. He's looking to take stone across this map. In fact, is there any stone that's left? There's the 471 that's in here. You've also got the 200 that's left in this one. Other than that, I think it's pretty much been mined out. So it's very much a low resource game, this map. It is all about having mobility. It's interesting because it's obviously very high resource when it comes to food. Low resource when it comes to wood, when it comes to gold. When it comes to stone, I think it's probably about even Steven. So I don't think I saw a whole lot of the big stone veins either. More Templar brothers coming down to the south. The consequence of splitting up that army, or that economy, as we've obviously seen up towards the north, there's a huge amount of vills that are up here as well. And the consequence of splitting them up is that you have to be in 2 places at once to defend them, whereas Vortex has to be in 2 places at once to kill them. So that can always be difficult to wrap your head around when it comes to that sort of defense. But more farms continue coming up. Vortex definitely feeling a little bit stronger now in this game. More Templar brothers looking for a way through. I'd love to see some walls. Some walls up towards this top side just across here would make a lot of sense. We've got a nice big wall across this south edge of the base. Even if there is a hole in it, we'll allow it for the moment. Of course, the enemy has just gotten through it. There's still quite a bit of work to do here. Templar brothers continuing to work their magic behind the scenes. So much health on these units. Upgrades coming through. Horticulture as well as fertilization going to be coming through for the Chinese player. And now all of a sudden the pilgrim number is starting to build. Now you can see why a civilization like the Knights Templar might make a bit more sense on a map like this. When you've got less access, or not less access, but when you've got less gold on the map to actually take, having the ability to generate your gold for free is incredible. So now we see a fortress being placed up towards the north. Treasure Tower's still not researched. Desert Citadel's still not researched. I tell you what, I'm going to have a chat to Vortex after this game and say, hey, buddy, you got to start picking up these upgrades. You could be getting some real value from these. Vils, Nest of Bees. Oh, it was the perfect little bait, but unfortunately, Vortex was wise to it. Meanwhile, towards the back of the army, take a look at this. We've got a whole bunch of Templar brothers. He's going to try and bait out the spears. You've got to be cautious about pulling them too far away. I want to see a line formation coming out, just so he's able to defend a little bit more surface area here. And you can see just how well Vortex is doing, trying to pull apart this army. Attacking from the east, attacking from the north, attacking from the west, from every angle, but Vortex manages to make connections with the north, with the east, and now trying to clean up the remnants of it. The Templar brothers just going to be facing off against these spearmen. 4 Nest of Bees still standing strong in the middle, but the spearmen able to clean it up for the moment. Nest of Bees doing a wonderful job cleaning it up, but still, those Knights Templar brothers are so damn strong as they just face tank. They just face tank the spearmen. And in the end, they're probably going to be able to take out the last of the Nest of Bees. But I tell you what, the Nest of Bees got an incredible job done here. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, all of the battering rams are sieged down by the villagers back here. I tell you what, this is an incredible game. These guys are really quite even Stevens in this game, but the villager count has now gone in favor of Vortex, as well as the castle age has been looked upon and said, hey, we don't need you anymore, we're going imperial. That's what we're all about. So it's going to be the Kingdom of Poland, an extra 10% health, an extra 50% charge damage, and a unit cavalry as well. We can't see it just yet. It's going to be the Schlatter, the Schlachter, let's go with that for this video, which is to be expected. I think most players are opting for Poland at this stage. So the meta definitely seems to have settled on moving into the Kingdom of France. And then in the castle age, you've got kind of a flex option. But typically it's going to be either Genoa or Angevin. And then we see the Kingdom of Poland getting picked up the most often in the Imperial Age. So now that the Imperial Age is through, have a look at the upgrades he's going for. Elite Archers. He's looking to pick up Fanaticism as well. Tithe Barns, he's picked up 4 out of the 5 relics, and we also see the Elite Templar Brothers upgrade coming through. So looking to pick up Elite Archers, Elite Templar Brothers, and Fanaticism. So let's take a look at Fanaticism and what it gives. So Templar Brothers and Commandery units gain 10% damage when they're below 50% health and 30% damage when they're below 25% health. And of course this stacks up with your extra charge damage, but look, we'll worry about that later as we got more issues right now as we're just giving away a couple of Nest of Bees. I tell you what, that's not how you want to be playing it. More Nest of Bees firing off. He's only got 2 of them out on the field at the moment, so you need every single one that you can get. A little bit of a raid behind the scenes as well. Quite actually, that's not a little bit of a raid. That is a lot of a raid. And now those knobs still trying to hold for the moment. More relics up for grabs in the middle. We don't see any religious units out for the Chinese player just yet. Spears perfectly controlled. He's able to defend the Nest of Bees wonderfully. The question's going to be about whether he can defend the economy. 22 villager difference at the moment and 47 idols on the side of the Chinese player. So Vortex still pulling him apart. And, you know, all of this could have just been prevented if it were just for a couple of walls. You know, 100 woods worth of walls and that would have been it, but we missed it on the front. A little bit of a charge came through. Nest of Bees got taken out. Now Vortex looking to overwhelm his opponent. We've got the Schlatter as well as the Templar brothers, and that's going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. Vortex victorious in an incredible game. What a strategy coming out from him, from that early Castle Age push to the wonderful battles that we witnessed. Ladies and gentlemen, go check him out. The links are in the description, and of course we will catch you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.